Greetings wherever you are. My name is Biba, and then today I want us to look at how to be able to import data into Rstudio on a remote server. So you have Rstudio installed on a server somewhere, and then how to import data into it is what we are coming to learn. Please subscribe to this channel and support the channel to grow. Okay, I'm already sharing my screen, and so let me show you some example of what I'm talking about. If you go to ordinary Rstudio here, this is my Rstudio. So you notice that I have things I have imported, which is very easy to do. So I can simply come here and import from a base. I can import a text file and then whatsoever. This is completely different if you want to import data onto Rstudio installed on a server. So we are going to look at a typical server, and that is University of Ghana, at University of Ghana. So I want to log onto their R server or onto their Rstudio, which is installed on their server, and then show us how to be able to get our data, whether it is a text file or it is whether numerical data, what kind of data it is. We'll look at how to be able to get it there. So I'm going here. I'm going to come here and open a new link. And so as you can see, I already have the server address. And because I open it all the time, obviously speed dial will give me. So you can see the R server, what is the Rstudio server, which is here. If not, I can also just start typing like this. And so you see Rstudio sign in, which is also here. And so if I click on that, so it's supposed to take me to, because I have already signed in. If not, it would have asked me of my username and my password. And then the username and the password that the administrator has given to you will be there. So you log onto onto that particular Rstudio. But when you open the Rstudio here, it's no more my own Rstudio. So if you check, you will see at the right corner here where my cursor is pointing, you can see AMRO. That is my address to the server. That is what is there. If I open my own Rstudio, you don't find that kind of name, which is here. You don't find that name over there. And so that is what I am talking about. So I'm now inside the Rstudio, which is seated at the server at University of Ghana. So, and to those of us in bioinformatics, you know that we deal with text files a lot. Text files, how to import text file into our environment is a little bit different from the ordinary data, which R was designed for. And it's even more difficult when you are on a remote server. So here, when I come, and let's assume that I have some files, FASTQ files, which are seated somewhere on my desktop here. So I'm coming to my desktop to check. I have these FASTQ files, so FASTQs, which are seated here. And I want to do a microbiome analysis of this, but my local computer cannot run with it. So you see that it's seated on my local computer on my desktop here, and they are all here. So how do I get it onto my Data 2, which is installed on on Rstudio, seated on another person's server? That is what I want us to pay attention. So we'll follow the thing one after the other, ditto by ditto. First of all, if I go onto the server, onto the Rstudio server, and I use the ordinary approach, let's say import, here, you see that it doesn't take me to my desktop. It takes me to the information that I have already installed on the server. So I have already installed the FASTQ files, which is on the server. I have already imported it onto the server. Yeah, maybe, but I'll still show you how I got it over there. So the first approach you will have to do here is to, first of all, open your terminal. That's the first thing to do. So I'm trying to open my terminal here. Great. So after opening my terminal, I have to navigate to where my data is seated. So I'm going to say my, so if you've been following my tutorials, you know what I am doing. And so my C, and then I'm going to go to my user, and then I'm going to go to my own, I am the user, I'm going to desktop. And then when I come to my desktop, I just have too many things there. So I'm going to say that I'm going to change directory to something called IVF. And then if I list my IVF, so let me clear my screen a little bit. If I list what is there, you'll notice that I have some fast queues which are seated here. So I'm going to say, imagine that I was going to copy the fast queue files or the fast queues onto my server. You can watch my previous videos and then you will get to know how we copy files from your own remote machine, from your own local machine to a remote machine. It's very simple. Here, I would have just done pwd, and then I have my absolute path. So I'm copying a particular folder from here. So if I copy this, if I can, because I'm copying a folder, it will be a secure copy -R, and then I'm simply going to put this over there. But I'm not copying the whole of IVF. I'm copying a particular folder there called fast queues. This is what I'm copying to where? To a remote server. What's the address of that server? It is AMR03, and then I have it at aabn.ug.edu, okay, .gh. But over there, when I go there, I'm not supposed to, I'm copying it into my own area. At my own area, so I'm simply going to do this, and then I have /home /AMR03, and then perhaps that's just all. Maybe I don't want to specify anything so that it will go and be seated in my home. So that's what I did. So if I should do this, it will ask me of a password. If I put the password, it will copy this particular folder here, which is called fast queues, onto the server. That's what I did. And then when I do that and I get into the server, because I've already copied, I don't want to click enter. If I type the password and I click enter, then it will simply copy this particular folder, which is called fast queues, onto the server. And then it will be on the server terminal. So now, let me do this. Let me open a new terminal and then connect to the server. Again, that will be the second step. I want us to pay attention. So this is the address of the server. And so they are asking me of my password. And so I'm typing my password here. So I'll enter into the server. So if I enter the server, you see, I have absolutely, these are the things I already have there. And like I told you before, I have the fast queues. They should be hiding somewhere. So if you check on the server, these are the things I have there. I'm looking for the so let me clear it and then list what is okay. Yeah. So if I cd to IVF, and then if I list, then you will notice that I have the fast queue, which is seated over there. So it means it's already on the server. So I've copied it onto the server now. Now, it's not left onto me to copy it from this particular within the server onto my Rstudio. And that's all that I want you to pay attention to. But before I do that, let me go to a local computer. Supposing you were not going to copy a text file and you were going to just import ordinary CSV file onto the server, what would you have done? So it's the same approach. Like you go to your local terminal, which is here. And then on my local terminal this time around, I'm aborting all that I have. So on my local terminal, so I'm going back one more step, and then I'm cding to what's something we call, okay, I think it is Excel. And so if I come here, lists, Excel, you will see that I have a data called this, eTrace. I want to get this onto the local or onto the server. You see, so I want to use that one to demonstrate. So first of all, I need to copy this particular data using this terminal onto the server, because it is only terminals that allows you to be able to connect to computers. So if I want to get this particular data onto the server first, to the server first before onto the Rstudio, I have to first of all copy this file called itris.csv onto the server. So how do I do that? It's the same thing like I was saying. So I'm just coming to say pwd, and then I have this, right? So I have this particular, this is the absolute path to Excel. So I'll copy it and come here. This time around, so I'm just going to come back, put secure copy, but I am copying a file. So because of that, I'll not put -r. So if I come here to the end here, I have here, and then what I am looking for is itris, sorry. And then is the CSV version. So that's all. I am copying this file called itris.csv onto the server. So what is the server address? The server address, as usual, AMR03, and then I have at aabn.ug.edu.gh. Okay, but when I copy onto the server, I want it to be at my home, and so I'm just going to say home/AMR03, and that is it. AMR03. So I want it to go and be sitting there as a file. I don't want it to go and go to any other folder. So I'll just do this. So it will ask me of my address, and I'm typing my address. So it'll do this. Permission denied. Why? I don't know what happened. They say permission denied. So let me check again. Okay. Cool. So let me check my my password. Let me see where the issue is coming from. SCP is a directory. Okay, so let me do it this way. Just stick and stay. So I'm coming here. Let me come here and go back, do pwd here. And then this is what I want. So sometimes, maybe in the course of typing, you make some small errors. So I have this and copy. Then come to my local terminal where I want to copy it. So I am on my local terminal right now. And so I am copying. So I'm copying this particular file here onto this address. So let me come and remove this .gh like this, then put this over there. So I'm copying it onto this particular address. So I don't want it to be in any folder. I want it to go and be sitting there as a file by itself. So when I'm done this, I think that is all. So it asks of a password. So the password will be you. Yeah, now it is copied. That's what I was saying. When you are typing, sometimes you make some errors without. So you see that 100% is copied. What is copied now. So when I go to my local terminal now, and if I come and I say ls, you will see that the file is now stated here called itris.csv. I've used the terminal to copy it onto the server, but it's not in Rstudio now. So I can now go to my Rstudio. So if I now come here and go to my Rstudio, which is, you can check around here, you see the Rstudio is still here. It is connected to, this is Rstudio seated at that particular server, that same server that I have copied. So now, if I come and, let's say, let me call it cookies, and then, let me even leave it that way. So let me say, maybe something like cook, and then like this. So I want to read a data onto it. So if I now come and say, because I'm importing a CSV file. So if I come down, no, if I go to home, because I copy it into home. So you can see the file is seated here. So if I say opened, you see the file is now opened. So you check through the ordinary way of making sure that your R, whatever you want headers to be, then you keep it as headers. We don't have any as strings and whatsoever. If everything is okay, then we just click import. And you can see the data is now seated. The data is now seated in the Rstudio on the server. That's one of the ways to copy it, or to make sure that you have copied your data onto it. But this is ordinary CSV file, Excel file. You can go the same through way, and then any other files that is in numeric, that are numbers and whatsoever. But when it comes to FASTQ files, you can import FASTQ files like this. You can import protein, the data. You can import something like SNPs in this particular format. So that is where I want you to pay attention. So if you check, I'm already working on something. So this is a microbiome analysis, and then I'm using data too. So I have already imported the data that I'm working. So I created a new link here. So, okay, let me say that if I could have just say assigned the eateries. So you see the eateries is now there. If I assign that, if I come and I say head, or if I have it appears I'm running out of head. And then if I put cook there, I should be able to see, yeah, the data is imported. The session is trying to run out. I think it's my connection. So now the data is imported, but this is a little bit different when you want to import text file, FASTQ files, like I've already explained. Now, if it were FASTQ files, like the FASTQ files I just shown you, which is now seated in my server. So come here, let's check again. I think this is not my server. This is the server. If I come here, a list, I may not find it, but if I say lists IVF, so it should be there. It's seated around here. So it is found within the IVF. That particular data is found within the IVF. So if you want to import it into into the Rstudio within the server, what do you do? This is what you do. So I'll come here and let's say I am importing. So what do I want to call it? Let's say I want to call it IVF, and then I'm just going to create something like this. And then you go to your server and then navigate to where it is. So I'm going to change directory to IVF. Sorry, I didn't see IVF, which is there. List and find out. Yeah, what is it? The FASTQ files are seated over there. So if I now want, I have to also change directory to the FASTQs, and then which is also there. So I've changed my directory to the FASTQs, which is also there. So if I list now, you can see all the FASTQ files are seated over here. So now let's assume I now want to copy it onto my Rstudio. So I'll do PWD and come here. So you see, this is the absolute path to it. So I'll simply come here like this, and then Control, Shift, and C. It has copied it. Go to the Rstudio here, and then you have your inverted commas, then paste it inside there. That's all. So this would automatically. So now when you run this, it will pack the entire, yeah, you see that it runs properly. It has even run twice. So it is now over here. If I had, let's say, if I have the package that can list it, when you run it, it should be able to list. But I don't think if I just run this, it should be able to list. No, it cannot be able to list it because we don't have a package that can list. So we need to load the data2 package. So I'm going to say library, and then data2 is here. The session is just trying to run out at all costs. The data2 is here. So I've loaded data2. Okay, it's trying to load. So if I load data2 finished, there is this particular, what is it? So now that I've loaded data2, I'm just going to, so let's assume that data2 is loaded. It doesn't really matter which line it is loaded, as long as it's loaded. So if I now put IVF here and then I run it, the session is still out. That's the problem. So now, if I should list IVF now, yeah, you see that now it lists properly. So now your data is now on your Rstudio, and you can now follow whatever analysis that you wanted to do using R. This is how we are able to import a text file from your local computer onto a server and then onto Rstudio. It's a little bit, I've gone back and forth, but I think that you've gotten the idea now. The simple thing, it is not only the text file, but any other file at all that you have. This is the first process. I'm now going to summarize it. This is the first process. You have your data, which is seated on your computer, on your local computer like this. And then you want it onto Rstudio in a server. First of all, make sure that you get the data onto the server first using the terminals. Now, so I'll open the first terminal. This is my own terminal. Go to clear it. And so I will copy whatever that is here. So you see that I have copied this particular file, which is here, onto the remote server. Now, after you have copied it onto the remote server, if it is a data file, let's say the ordinary numerical data, 1, 2, 3, what is it, numerals and whatsoever, and it's a CSV file, it's a text file, you can easily now go, now that it is found on the server, you will now go onto the Rstudio, which is also installed on the server. Now use imports. If it is, because you know it's a CSV file, you are importing from base. If it's a text file, you import from this, Excel, SPSS, and then you now import it after you have used the terminal to connect or to send the data onto the server. Now, if you have FASTQ files, SNPs, alleles, protein sequences, and whatsoever, you want to import it into Rstudio and use it for, let's say, either DSEC or like DADA2 or Mother or CHIME2, any of them, for any analysis. Let's say if it is GWAS data whatsoever, then you cannot use this same approach to be able, you can't use the import here to be able to get it. After you've gotten the data onto your server, go onto the server. So go onto the server like this. I'm now on the server like this, on this particular terminal. Navigate to the folder that is holding the data. So you see that I've navigated to the folder called FASTQs, which is holding my FASTQ files. Then I will do pwd and then run it. So it will give me absolute path. Then you now copy this absolute path like this, Control C and then copy. Go to the Rstudio like this. Now come and then you create the the variable that you want to hold the data. Like I created IVF, then I'll simply put double quote and paste whatever that I have copied inside there and run it. It will simply pick the data from your server onto the Rstudio, and then you can now continue to work with the data. That is exactly what I have done, and I hope you've understood the whole thing. In a case you are not getting anything clear, please put it in the comment section, and then I'll come and address. This is how we get a data onto Rstudio, which is stored on a remote server. I think I'm just been going forth and back because I just want to put emphasis for everybody to get it clearly. Thank you very much. And then that is how we do it. Okay, so I hope you've understood something. And then thank you for being around. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe to the channel and then support it. Thank you. My name is Biba. Bye-bye.